Hi, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use Beauty of Joseon's Red Bean Water Gel Moisturizer. And the two key ingredients are red bean extract and a peptide complex, which first of all are very hydrating and soothing on the skin, but also helps to control your oiliness throughout the day or night time, making you less oily while using the moisturizer. It also improves your skin's elasticity and supports your skin's natural renewal process. Now you can use this moisturizer daily in the morning and or evening on its own or in a skincare routine. It is great for all skin types. However, given the benefits that it offers as well as the overall formulation, as it's a gel type moisturizer, you may find it more so suitable if you have normal to an oilier skin type, as it is fast absorbing and it does not leave a greasy residue afterwards. Now, when including it in a skincare routine, remember the order of application. This is now where I want to briefly get into before showing you an application. Now, I have kept my main focus towards Beauty of Joseon products. However, the order of application will remain the same. Just make sure to choose the right products for your skin type and needs. The simpler you can keep it, the better. Now, we have the setup right here. You're going to get started with your cleansing step. Then if you like to include a toner or essence, after that your specific serum for your skin concerns, and then you would move on to your moisturizer application. Now, this can be the last step if it's your evening skincare routine or if you do not have any sun exposure during daytime. However, if you have sun exposure, I highly recommend following with your sunscreen afterwards. This is really important to keep in mind. Doesn't matter if you're using a chemical or mineral sunscreen, your sunscreen is the last step, as it needs to sit on the most upper layer of the skin surface to protect the skin from the damaging UV rays. Therefore, do not do it the other way around. Otherwise, you may create sensitivities and you are going to dilute the sunscreen, which then can give you less protection. So it is really important to keep the order of application in mind. If you want to go over this setup in your own time, I have prepared for you everything in a PowerPoint. I came up with a proper morning skincare routine, emphasized the individual steps of how you would use the products, the waiting time in between to ensure proper layering. I have a similar setup for the evening skincare routine, where it should demonstrate that in the evening there's no sunscreen needed, but you may need to adjust your cleansing step based on what you're trying to take off the skin, as well as a general guide below. And then if you're wondering what products that I have picked, below the example routines in the PowerPoint, you'll find the product description box part, which lists all the products that I have emphasized with a description next to it, for whom it is suitable and what it's supposed to do for you. And based on that, you're going to choose the right treatments. And then after that, you have the general skincare tips guide, like how to do a patch test, how you can avoid skincare pilling by properly washing your face, layering tips, sunscreen application, and removal guide. So it's all in the PowerPoint, and you'll find it in the description box down below, and you can save it to your device when recreating this at home. And now that you know how you can include it in a skincare routine, you know the benefits and for whom it is suitable, let's head into the application. For the application, I want to keep my main focus to the three major steps, which is first of all the cleansing step, then I want to head into the moisturizer application, and lastly the sunscreen, as I think that this is where most confusion happens, because the toner and essence step as well as your serum steps are optional steps. Now remember to adjust your cleanser based on what you're trying to take off the skin. So your regular water-based cleanser to remove any excess oil, dirt, sweat, light sunscreen or makeup from the skin. Whereas your oil or balm cleanser if you're really trying to remove stubborn mineral sunscreen or waterproof makeup, or you may want to do a double cleanse using your oil or balm cleanser at first and then move on to your regular water-based cleanser. Now as an example, I'm going to use Beauty of Joseon's Green Plum Refreshing Cleanser, great for all skin types and needs to be applied to wet skin. Just remember that in general, when washing your face, to choose lukewarm water to warm water, which does not only feel more comfortable on the skin, but it also helps the cleanser to work more effectively. But avoid hot water, otherwise it may dry out your skin. When washing your face above the sink, I highly recommend to use a soft, clean washcloth in between, which you're going to wet, squeeze it out, and use a damp washcloth to remove any last traces of your cleanser, sunscreen and or makeup that you may have missed, to ensure that everything comes properly off the skin. Then rinse again. And then lastly, pat the skin dry. And those are now the steps that I want to demonstrate to ensure proper layering, especially when working with water-based products, which often can lead to skincare pilling. And this is what we are trying to avoid, because it can be quite annoying. So the first step that I'm going to do is now wetting my face before using the cleanser. Now my general guide would be use about a coin size amount and then dispense it in the palm of your hand or fingertips. However, when using this cleanser, you can use a bit less, otherwise it may feel like too much product on the skin when then massaging it all over. About that much. Then rub your hands together and then massage it all over your face and neck for about 30 seconds. Now rinse it off. Then use your damp washcloth to remove any last traces that you may have missed. Then rinse again. And now take a clean towel and gently pat all over to remove the excess water drops from the skin surface to ensure proper layering, absorption and avoiding skin sensitivities. This is a really important step before applying your products to the skin. Then once you're done with your cleansing step, you now can move on to the optional steps, which could be your toner or essence, apply to the skin, leave it on the skin, let it absorb. Before moving on to your serum, if you want to include it, apply to the skin, let it absorb, and then move on to your moisturizer. So it is important to let each product absorb into the skin before moving on to the next step to ensure proper layering. And when using your red bean water gel moisturizer, use about a pea to a bean size amount and then apply it evenly all over, making sure not to get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. About that much. Rub your fingertips together and then apply it all over. And once you have applied it all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. Now, if this is going to be your evening skincare routine or during daytime, you have no sun exposure at all, this can be the last step. However, remember, if you have sun exposure, to now follow on with your sunscreen. There are two key points that you need to keep in mind, which is first of all, making sure to not use too much of your moisturizer, that the amount that you're going to use is enough to apply it evenly and thinly all over, but at the same time that it is able to properly absorb into the skin. And second of all, the waiting time. I recommend waiting between 1 to 2 minutes in between your moisturizer and sunscreen step to avoid skincare pilling. So please do not forget those tips in between. Then when it comes to your sunscreen, please don't forget to apply 10 to 15 minutes before sun exposure. Use about half a teaspoon for your face, neck, as well as your ears. Of course, if you have more skin exposed to the sun, like your décolletage, use about 1 teaspoon. Or if it goes down to your arms and legs, well, then you may want to work with a body sunscreen instead of a face sunscreen. Otherwise, you're going to run through a tube quite quickly. So you need to adjust it accordingly. I'm going to keep my main focus now on my face, ears, as well as my neck, as well as a bit of my décolletage too, to properly protect the skin. And I have right here Beauty of Joseon's sunscreen, as well as half a teaspoon to give you a visual guide. You can apply the sunscreen all over your face and neck, including around the eyes. Just make sure to not get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. If you come across sensitivities around the eyes, avoid the eye area and wear sunglasses instead, or replace it to a different sunscreen that you do tolerate around the eyes. So you need to adjust it accordingly. About that much. So it would be that much if you're going to dispense it on your fingertips or in the palm of your hand, more or less. Of course, if you have less skin exposed to the sun, you can adjust the amount and then use, of course, a bit less of your sunscreen as well, so that it feels comfortable on the skin, but still making sure that you're using enough sunscreen to properly and evenly protect the skin. And once you have applied your sunscreen evenly all over, there you have it. Now, if your person likes to wear makeup, this would be now the next step. Just make sure to wait for your sunscreen to set, so about 10 to 15 minutes, to ensure that the sunscreen isn't going to move as much around as if you would immediately apply your makeup on top, because you still want to make sure that you have an even and protective layer of sunscreen when then heading outdoors. Now, when it comes to the reapplication of your sunscreen, you really need to adjust it based on your day-to-day activities. And this primarily applies to people that have an outdoor job, or if you're sitting in front of a window and you really have sun exposure for several hours, then it is advised to reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours or more frequently, because you weren't able to seek any shade, and the more sun exposure you have, the more the sunscreen is going to break down. This also applies to sweating, and for example, after a swim where the sunscreen can wear off or rub off, you really then need to reapply your sunscreen to protect the skin again. The only case where it isn't really necessary is if you spend most time indoors. This can be in school, at work, at home. You get the idea. If you do not have any sun exposure or only for short intervals, if you're going to apply your sunscreen properly in the morning, as I just demonstrated, it should give you enough protection for the entire day, because the sunscreen isn't as breaking down, or let's say isn't as fast breaking down as if you would have prolonged sun exposure. So this is the significant difference, and therefore, again, remember, you really need to adjust it based on your activities. And so this is what I primarily want to share with you. I do hope that you enjoyed this video and that you find it helpful. Remember, the example skincare routines are in the PowerPoint, which you'll find in the description box down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you want to see more educational skincare content, head on to my YouTube channel. There's much more. And I will see you there. Happy skincaring!